It's a tale as old as time. Something becomes popular, and everybody wants to adapt it into other things. Like, sometimes a cartoon can become a video game, or a video game series can become a cartoon. Our buddies over at Game Attack are looking at the worst games based on cartoons, but here, you've got me, Nervous Nick, for Screw Attack's Top 10 Worst Cartoons Based on Video Games.
Number 10.
Anybody who's played these games has fantasized at some point or another about how awesome a TV show based on the Legend of Zelda would be. Like, it'd be really cool to see a cartoon Link using all of his in-game weapons and fighting Ganon and saving the princess, but the Legend of Zelda show we actually got wasn't nearly as epic as the games.
Looking good, princess, especially from this angle.
Almost as if to set the entire tone of the cartoon, the first 5 minutes show Link sexually harassing the franchise's namesake, and then he has a pillow fight in his room with some moblins. You know, just like the games. Unfortunately, in the Legend of Zelda animated series, the hero of time or whatever is reduced to that of an errand boy for a spoiled princess and her idiot father, and along the way, Link gets into all kinds of silly scenarios. Like the time a damsel in distress kissed Link and then he became an anthropomorphic frog.
Tell me it's not true, Zelda.
Sorry.
And when you consider the profound effect that the Legend of Zelda series has had on so many people, it's really a shame that more care wasn't taken when writing the show. Cause, you know, who doesn't love hearing Link's catchphrase literally 29 times across 13 episodes?
Well, excuse me, princess.
Number 9.
In the early 1980s, when arcades were all the rage, somebody had the bright idea of launching a Saturday morning special using your favorite arcade characters. Introducing Saturday Supercade, a show where you got Donkey Kong Jr. using his monkey muscles to drive a motorcycle in search of dear old dad. Donkey Kong trolls Mario and Pauline as criminals take advantage of his slow demeanor. Q*bert is essentially Happy Days with a bunch of square-shaped objects in Q*berg. And Frogger is a reporter for the Swamp Gazette who often finds himself being flattened while chasing down a big lead. Yeah, look, we can go on and on about all these shows and their varying levels of quality, or lack thereof. The important thing to consider is that this would be the first time outside of Pac-Man that cartoons were being made with a specific purpose of promoting the games. And the result was a bizarre collection of disjointed universes with characters whose fictional lives were completely unrelated to the games they were created in.
Number 8.
So in the 90s, there was this really awesome show based on Sonic the Hedgehog. Yeah, you know the one. It was so good that it inspired an entire comic book series that's still going on to this day. But it also inspired another TV show, one that would ruin Sonic's name forever.
Sonic Underground.
Yeah, that's right. Sonic's in a band with his brother and sister. Sonic Underground was the kind of show that didn't know what it wanted to be. It tried to be epic and even tackle some serious issues, but then every single episode had to stop halfway through for Sonic and siblings to sing about friendship or some other crap. Just the very premise of Sonic having a brother and sister and being in a band with them seems like it's ripped right out of Sonic fan fiction. Oh yeah, and all of them are voiced by Jaleel White. Yes, even the girl.
That will be all, thank you.
Number 7.
Okay, let me just, I need a second to collect myself for this one, guys. Okay, F BLAZBLUE. Not the games. The games are good, probably. I'm talking about the world, the story, and especially the anime based on it all. So once upon a time, there was this monster called the Black Beast. Humankind sent the 6 heroes out to go and kill it, and they did that. But when they did, it made it spread this substance called Seether all over the world. If you have the powers, you can use it to, like, manipulate it. It's like magic. It's not magic, but it's like magic. So then there's this emo edgelord named Ragna the Blood Edge. He's got a big sword and spiky hair, and he's sad all the time. He had this little sister who got sick with something. He tried to be a good brother and, like, spend time with her and stuff, but then their brother, Jin, was jealous that Ragna was spending time with Saya and not him. So he did the next best thing and, like, joined up with this hipster, and together they cut off Ragna's arm, and it was gross. And then this vampire snapped her fingers and gave Ragna a new arm that was made out of the Seether. But then there's Ragna's been trained by this cat with ninja powers. So he goes to this cauldron place with this other girl named Noelle who's fighting him, I think. Then they fall into the cauldron, and both of them together become the Black Beast that attacked, go back in time to attack the world to begin with. But then it's only at this point in the series when I realized that the entire concept of BLAZBLUE revolves around time looping in on itself. But if that's the case, then how come there was the Black Beast? But then this really crazy thing happens where Ragna and Noelle don't fall into the cauldron, and they never go back in time to form the Black Beast, which means there shouldn't be any Seether, which means that none of this should have ever happened, but it keeps happening. I never figured out why. It never made any sense to me because somebody didn't think this thing through. Somebody just kept throwing in stuff into the BLAZBLUE lore thinking people would think it was cool. And I'm sorry to say that it worked, but it didn't work on me! Oh no! I see BLAZBLUE for what it really is! It's a mess! It's a crappy mess, and I hate it! That's why it's number 7.
Number 6.
It was the most popular arcade game of 1983. At its peak, it dethroned even Pac-Man. This was Pole Position, a game about a car that drives down a road. So yeah, the lore was kind of a blank slate, and instead of seeing this as an opportunity to make something great, Pole Position shamelessly copied the best parts of Knight Rider, Speed Racer, and Transformers. While that sounds awesome, it actually makes the entire show a narrative train wreck. You got this brother and sister duo in their talking cars as they fight crime on and off the track. Plus, you got a fun animal mascot and a spunky kid sister named Daisy to help round out the cast. But the show also deals with some pretty messed up stuff. Like the fact that Daisy keeps dressing up the 2 AI-powered cars like her dead parents, and she prefers to sleep inside of them as opposed to her own bed. The animal mascot's also a genetic crossover between a monkey and a raccoon named Kuma, and it can somehow pronounce its own name like it's a Pokemon. Pole Position was like an amalgamation of all the greatest ideas from 80s cartoon action shows, just without the magic.
Number 5.
Man, Street Fighter's had a pretty rough go whenever somebody tries to turn it into a new form of media. And with the franchise being enormous, it's no surprise that someone took a shot at making a cartoon. But why, oh why, would you base that cartoon off the events of the live-action movie? Well, they did, and so Commander Guile set out to battle the evil forces of M. Bison by building a super team of Street Fighters, including Ambassador Blanca, treasure hunters Ken and Ryu, and a reporter who never does any actual reporting, Chun-Li. The show even went as far as to incorporate more characters from the Alpha series and abandoned the episode-by-episode adventures for a bigger storyline in Season 2. Yes, this thing got a Season 2. The problem with giving Street Fighter the animated series a second season was that it just gave them the opportunity to ruin more characters. It's poorly plotted and riddled with terrible dialogue.
You killed my... Yes, I killed your father. What is it with you women anyway? I killed my father too, and you don't hear me whining about it.
Jeez, every single second of that clip has something new that I hate. For the true World Warriors, we recommend that you check out the anime movies.
Number 4.
Now, don't get me wrong, not every cartoon has to be a one-to-one adaptation of the source material. But taking the coolest kid in school and making him into an awful cliche of chili dogs and slapstick? That is a huge misstep. Yeah, of course, I'm talking about Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. In this Looney Tunes-esque romp, Mobius appears as some colorful, twisted landscape filled with anthropomorphic citizens and lots of cartoon logic. No longer is Eggman a tyrannical monster. Now he's a tragic loser that provides comedic relief alongside his robo-cronies, Scratch and Grounder. And remember in the 90s how every show had to have some kind of PSA to teach kids to, not do drugs or let strangers touch their pee-pees? Well, the Sonic Says segments at the end of every episode were so bad, they never even made it into the UK broadcasts. How this show ended up with 40 more episodes than Sonic Said AM is beyond me. I I mean, it hands down has the worst episode of animated television of all time, the Sloth episode.
Looks like your whole family's in shock.
No, they're this way all the time.
In the infamous words of a man Jaleel White, this show is no good.
Number 3.
We need a strategic plan of attack.
I got one. Combat time.
It's combat time! Ugh. Somewhere between Mortal Kombat 3 and 4, a marketing exec at Midway felt it was the perfect time to take their mature and gory fighting game franchise and turn it into a cartoon for kids. And so Mortal Kombat Defenders of the Realm was born. Visually, it was on point with most 90s cartoons and featured your favorite combatants like Sub-Zero, Liu Kang, and Kitana fighting hordes of cyber ninjas and teethy Tarkatan. You know, the Baraka dudes. But it also featured some of the most awful tropes like terrible dialogue, unnecessary gadgets, like since when did Nightwing have a Batcave? And it was obviously just a vehicle for toys. But worst of all, it's a show that targets kids, so they decided to try and teach them life lessons with Mortal Kombat.
Something like that, Blubberbutt?
Hey, don't you ever call me that. When I was a kid, 8, 9 years old, I was fat.
Nothing on this earth is less reminiscent of Mortal Kombat than Jax sitting on a bench and crying about how he used to be fat because Sonya Blade hurt his little feelings.
I'm talking fat, like the fattest kid in school.
That's big.
Dude, in Outworld, we kill people who make fun of us.
Number 2.
Vampires, werewolves, and cat girls. Yeah, Darkstalkers is a weird franchise, and Darkstalkers, the animated series, is, well, it's even weirder. It follows a generic plot led by an awful character named Harry Grimoire, who apparently is the descendant of Merlin. Oh, and if you don't recognize the name, don't worry, because he wasn't in any of the games. The voice acting is all over the place, and the animation is even worse. Sometimes it does that thing where, like, the color artist couldn't decide what color the tentacles are supposed to be. And don't even get me started on the fight choreography. I mean, look at it. They just keep reusing the same animation over and over. It's like they just winged the whole show. I mean, how else would you get a Yeti in a Yankees hat hanging out with a couple of vampires on a spaceship? See, I'm telling you, this is why the Darkstalkers franchise is dead.
It's number 1.
Off the positives of the Donkey Kong Country TV show. Number 1, admit it, that theme song is pretty dang catchy. And that's it. After those first 60 seconds, it all goes downhill. The animation is stiff, every episode takes place in the same, like, 3 locations, and there are two IQ-lowering musical numbers every episode. You might think that this show would be easy to forgive for being a product of its time or something, but no! No. Take it from the guy who had to binge all 40 episodes for research. This show is garbage. Go ahead, watch it for yourself, see if I'm wrong. I'll bet you can't even make it past Eddie the Yeti.
Me like snow. Me like ice. Me like you. You are nice.
Now don't go anywhere just yet, because we've got more terrible adaptations for you to check out. Like I said at the beginning of the video, our friends at Game Attack are looking at the worst video games based on cartoons, and you can check it out by clicking the annotation on the left, the right, my left, your right. That's how it is. Subscribe to both channels, and we'll see you next time, guys. Thanks for watching.